Welcome, dear friends, to the Taviren, a Wheel of Time podcast hosted by three gentlemen for whom the very wheel itself bends around. Without further ado, here are your hosts, Bill, Rob, and Rich.
And welcome, everybody. Welcome back to the Taviren, a Wheel of Time podcast. My name is Rob.
And I'm Rich.
Rich, our third host. Rich, is that really you?
I know, right? It's crazy.
I was able to access Teleron Riyadh, pull Rich out of his wolf dream, and bring him back to us in the real world. Rich, how you doing?
Doing fantastic. You know what? It's awesome the fact that I'm recording at 8 o'clock at night and not 6 in the morning.
on Bill time, right?
Yeah, and I do that tomorrow morning.
Beautiful.
Yep.
Unfortunately, I told Bill to wait by the car, but he's like a puppy. He just wanders off. So today it's going to be the two of us.
Mm-hmm.
We have hopes that maybe we can have a complete full set for Chapter 3. But in the meantime, we have Rich, we have me. Once again, this is the Taviren Wheel of Time podcast. Rich, since this is your first go-around, why don't you give everybody a quick history with the Wheel of Time?
Okay. So the first, I got into this book series when another podcast kept talking about it on the background. They kept saying, the Wheel of Time this, the Wheel of Time that. I never really understood what it was. Bill talked about it a lot, and he said, you got to read these books, you got to do that. But be careful, the middle part gets a little boring, and I thought it would just mean the middle of the book, but I did not know that there's 12 books? Or is there 14? Okay.
14. 15 if you count the prequel.
Crap. Okay. I really need to start paying attention when I tell Bill, I'm going to do stuff with you. It turns out I ended up doing a huge freaking list of video games and now a large book. Thank you, Bill. But, the book series themselves so far, I've read the first book, the second, and then a little bit of the third.
Okay.
I really like where it's going. I enjoy, that world that person's building. It does remind me of a Lord of the Rings-esque kind of deal, but honestly, I find these better than Lord of the Rings.
Lord of the Rings, is obviously the premiere, the classic, the original. Tolkien does a lot of descriptive. He's very good at describing the scenery, describing the setting. Jordan is really good at world building.
Mm-hmm.
Characters, locations, fleshing it out, making it seem like a living, breathing, actual entity. Jordan was the master at that, in my opinion.
Agreed. And then, it was sad. I actually have one of the books of his, one of the books that he did in the series. I can't remember which one it was. It was actually signed by him.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, I got that.
You got to put that. You got to put that up on the on Twitter.
I will. I forget which one it is. I got to dig it out of the boxes though. I hope it's really his signature, but I got it on eBay when I was buying a bunch of these books, and it said signed by Robert Jordan. I'm like, I want that.
Why not?
And and then I realized he's actually dead, so this could be worth some money.
Well, as I was talking in the prologue with Bill, I read up until about book 8 or 9 back in the early 2000s, and then when I hit that aforementioned middle slog, I put it down and moved on to another book series. Fast forward a few years later, I find out that Robert Jordan had passed, heard the Brandon Sanderson for the first time, and decided to start back at 1 and work my way all the way up. And I was able to do that in perfect timing that I was done book 13 as book 14 came out.
Okay.
So perfectly timed the hype train to hit that at the right point. And you have just an absolute great series ahead of you. And I'm so glad you're going to be experiencing this for the first time.
Yeah.
I'm not above saying that Memory of Light is the first book that brought me tears in my eyes. There was two very specific areas of the book that brought me emotionally, to tears.
Oh.
And I just can't wait. I just can't wait for you to experience it as well.
Okay. I look forward to that. I actually have a couple series that I'm going to pitch to Bill to doing another podcast eventually on once we get through this. Who knows how long this will take us. But that does have some moments in it too. I really think that you guys would like that. that book series as well. But we'll get to that eventually. So,
Okay.
What are we doing today?
Well, first off, believe it or not, there is some Wheel of Time news to go over. You know, a series that was ended back in, I think it was 2013 or 14 was the final book. We have some news.
Oh.
You may or may not have known, but just recently, JordanCon 2019 is happening in Florida.
Yep. I heard that actually.
Yep. So as soon as that one ended, they announced JordanCon 2020. It's going to be from April 17th to the 19th in Atlanta, Georgia. So it looks like that they like to keep to the southern, more warmer climates.
Yeah.
Now, I rallied for Bill to make the trip, but he said that's going to be a hard sell to the wife.
You know what?
Now,
too bad.
He's
going.
Bad. And I'm sure he's not a expert in American geography, but where you and I are located, it's a trek for us as well.
Yeah,
I'd love to be able to try to make it. So
who knows?
We'll see where we are at that. Yeah, exactly. Who knows? We'll see where we are at that time.
Maybe we'll get popular and people can pay our trip for us.
Oh, hey, that would be awesome.
We could try. We'd have to, lose Bill probably, but that's fine.
No, we can live without him.
No,
you didn't hear that here, but yeah, Bill, you're the best. But if you guys need any more information on JordanCon 2020, visit jordancon.org for more details. I have one other bit of news, of course, you know that the series is being turned into a TV show on Amazon Prime, right?
Yes.
You aware of that?
I heard of that.
They announced that they will be filming some of the episodes in Prague of the Czech Republic.
Okay.
So looks like they're very scenic areas. It's like they're going to go all across different locales. But I think Prague was one of the areas that they announced will be filming a few episodes in. Looks like I got that information from Narg, a gentleman on Twitter, and his website, thedailytrolloc.com. Visit his website for more details regarding that TV series as well as other Wheel of Time news. It's a good source, thedailytrolloc.com.
Nice. I look forward to that.
Yes, I know. That's going to be great. I mean, everybody's, and I'm one of them, head over heels about Game of Thrones. But you have no idea what's coming with the Wheel of Time if it's done right.
Yep, agreed.
So Bill, this is I'm sorry. So Rich,
Yeah.
Sorry.
It's okay. It's hard to get. I get it.
So Rich, this episode is part 2, book 1, chapter 2, Strangers.
Yep.
Have you caught yourself up on this chapter?
Yes, I've caught myself up. I've got an idea of what's happening. I had to go back and look at some notes, but
yep.
I've got a good idea on what has happened with the characters.
Okay. So as we left, Matt and Rand were just helping Tam get the last of the brandy and the cider into the wine spring. We get a little bit of background on Matt. He gives us one of his famous pranks, the ghost hound prank. And I thought that was it's just perfect. 2 boys just shooting the breeze saying, hey, I was trying to scare the crap out of these little boys. Put a bunch of flour on these dogs and tell them there's ghost hounds around. How was I supposed to know that dogs would run home?
Crazy.
And then, I know. So he's on the lookout because he knows he's got one of the the village elders and his wife looking to give him a thumping because he part of Matt and his boyish charm is he loves to play the pranks.
Mm-hmm.
Then we find out that there's more strangers in town. They're in town.
Yes, and if I remember correctly, that does not happen very often in Two Rivers, because as you think about it, the Two Rivers town is very far south from the main cities of the continent.
Yep.
If I
it's
remember
got
right.
Mountains bordering it on the west, and then the rivers obviously to the north and the south. So it's a very secluded area. You'll get the occasional peddler. And the people from maybe one town over, but nothing like what's being the rumors that are sweeping the town as far as
mm-hmm.
the strangers that are there.
And which usually happens in a small town like that, when nobody usually comes. It's just strangers pop out of nowhere, and that does generate the buzz on it. My next question
It's
to
all
you,
the
though,
talk.
Yeah. My next question to you, Emmons Field, is that where they're at now? I can't remember off the top of my head if that's what it is, but if they're part of the Two Rivers, but they're in Emmons Field.
You're putting me on the spot. I'm flipping through the book now.
Sorry.
I think you're putting me on the spot. I think Emmons Field is one of the parts of Two Rivers. There's Tarrant Ferry. There's the water. There's Tower Hill. Sorry, my glasses. Oh,
but so that's generally where they're at. So that's where Rand, Matt, and Perrin's at.
The Wine Spring, the Witch Hill, the Walter Wood, then Tarrant Ferry. They're all areas within what's called Two Rivers. So Emmons Field, I think, is part of Two Rivers.
Okay.
I'm sure if I'm wrong, let me know. Just be civil about it. But that's what I'm looking. That's what I'm seeing here. So.
Okay.
So, but yeah, we have these strangers. We have some highborn lady, according to the town folk, some highborn lady and some other gentleman with a mystical cloak. Now, as we learned from chapter 1, both Matt and Rand saw a gentleman with what seemed to be a mystical cloak that they did not like.
Yeah.
So as soon as they hear talk of the guy with a cloak, puts them both on edge. What do you mean he had a cloak? Did it move in the wind? Was it black? Lots of kind of tense questions, and who are these new people? And, what's going on? So,
and they talked about, so the Man in Black. If we kind of look back to chapter 1, Man in Black, was a very dark figure that they had no idea who it was. And the tricky part is, no one else saw this person except for Matt and Rand.
Correct.
So. That puts a big spotlight on, okay, so what is really going on, and do these two strangers have any connection to that Man in Black?
Exactly. You see, on the way there in chapter 1, on the way on the old road, Rand sees what he sees. There's a stranger there. Now there's more strangers in town. What's going on? Maybe you get one a season, but now you got 3.
Mm-hmm.
So you're really on edge. You have no idea. While they overhear some talk from the village elders that was it the village elders, or maybe it was one of the children from the town, saying that he learned the names of the strangers. The Lady Malraine and Lan were the names of the strangers, and he overheard that the Lady Malraine may have referred to Nynaeve as a child, which, that's just something you just don't do.
Yeah,
unless you want to.
Now, Noain, or how do you say that name? I'm terrible at pronunciations.
Oh, you're better than Bill. Let's go with that. I'm going to go with Ma Rain.
Okay.
That was a little tricky.
Yeah, so Moraine and Lan, and then Nynaeve.
I'm sorry, I'm laughing because I have mispronounced it wrong forever in my own internal, dialogue. I think her name is Nynaeve.
Nynaeve. Okay. So Nynaeve is Nynaeve the actual town healer?
She's the
medicine?
Village Wisdom. Her title is the Village Wisdom.
But she's not that old though.
She's very young for her station.
Yeah.
Qualified, but very young.
Okay.
So when it was heard that this highborn lady may have referred to her as child, this begins. Not only does it have the whole town on edge, because that's one name you do not call the Wisdom a child.
Correct.
But as we're going to find out, this is the very beginning of a blossoming friendship between these two women, as we may or may not find out.
Yeah, from right now, they don't like each other.
Yeah, well, that's the whole thing. Your first impressions mean everything, and that's not the best first impression. But hey, what are you going to do?
Okay. So with that happening, you go through with that situation, with those two meeting, the Glee Man and you and Skeptical and all those things that pop up with these visitors. Can we talk about the Crow?
Yep, that's actually my next note.
Okay.
The very smart Crow, I guess, or Raven. Matt and Rand see a Raven that's kind of staring at them, kind of funny, kind of cockeyed, and then they don't like that. It kind of puts them on edge. So, without even saying anything, they both reach for a stone and chuck it at the Crow. who simply just kind of hops to one side, hops back, and still's given that old stink eye. So this is our first encounter with with what could be considered dark friends.
Yep.
They both comment that they've never seen a raven act in such a manner. And it was almost like the raven was angry at them, but they couldn't understand why.
It was smart.
It seemed more smart than a raven should be. But this also leads them into their official introduction to Moiraine, as she's in the same boat with them. She's not happy with the way that raven's behaving. And as soon as she appears on the scene, the raven bolts. That was kind of an odd. As soon as she showed up and took note of the raven, he's out of there.
Now, would you think that it would be for Moiraine showing up, or would it be Lan with her? Because in my opinion, I think Lan would be the most intimidating one.
Lan would be the most intimidating, but not to go too far into what a raven could signify.
Yep.
It was probably the whatever juice was emanating from Moiraine, whatever kind of power she was able to emanate, DeCrow was not having, so he got out of there in a hurry.
Correct. Okay. I just wanted to make sure. I don't know if people fully understand that.
Yep.
So what I do like about in Robert Jordan's books and things, it's not just because the man is the most powerful one. You've got the women do play a pretty big role in these books.
Yeah. Well, as Bill mentioned in the last episode, the men have their group, the women have their group. The men try to find out what the women are doing, and the women, get out of here, it's none of your business, women's business. But when the women want to get involved with the men's business, the men have to comply. That's
correct.
So that seems to be the way that it goes in this village.
Yeah.
But as
we find out more detail, in chapters as it goes on, we start to learn more about that relationship, that symbolism behind it, so the readers can fully understand, and the people listening to the podcast, what that does signify.
Yep. So we have the meeting. We have the meeting of Moiraine with Mat and Rand. One thing that becomes immediately shown here is Mat's propensity to trying to being a ladies' man, where Rand and I think the other kid, his name was Ewing, were kind of stumbling with what they should do. Mat smoothly attempts an introduction and a bow. He may have bombed with the bow, as it seems it was kind of an awkward bow, but
I think he failed horribly.
He did fail horribly, but Jordan made a point that he was at least kind of smooth in his attempt and the way he introduced himself. So if you're going to fail with grace. That's so. That's our first showing of how Mat likes to be around the ladies. We also get the coin. She has a special coin that she presents to Mat and Rand, and she literally tells them there is a bond between us now.
Ooh, and I know what that is.
Oh yeah,
but we can't talk about it.
Oh no, that's for a later podcast, maybe.
So, the coins and stuff, they did get the coins. And I do want to point out there's a lot of different words that she throws out there. She does talk about the Wheel of Time and how it turns. The Wheel of Time turns, and nobody can see the whole pattern. Those words are thrown throughout the entire, chapters in the books.
Yep.
So if you're reading these chapters with us, definitely pay attention to those words, because they do actually, dictate very important things.
It's good writing, and of course this is good writing, but when you read a book, then you go back and read it a second time, and you're like, oh, yeah, I get that now. Oh, yeah, I see what he did here. Oh, it's all sick. It all works out. So that's the beauty. You're reading this again, and like, for example, if you're reading this book for the very first time, you're going in sight unseen, and there's a scene with a raven. You just think that's just a stupid bird. But as we go farther and we learn how this world is, we revisit this scene, and now it takes a different kind of angle as, well, hold on. Ravens don't normally act like that. What really could be going on? Yep. That's the beauty and the genius behind this series.
Yeah.
That there's kind of little small, not Easter eggs, but small tidbits for readers to pick up on the second and third go through.
Yep. You got to pay attention. You got to keep your eyes and your mind open. So Let's talk about Lan. So Lan themselves is a warder.
Well, we don't know that Ewan Finnegan, the little kid that accompanies Matt and Rand, predicts that he's a warder.
Yeah.
But we don't quite. We just know that there's what appears to be a highborn lady and what seems to be her bodyguard.
Yeah. And he's pretty dressed snazzy, I would say.
He's snazzy, and as I joked with Bill, I said he's wearing his Technicolor raincoat.
Yeah.
So this was obviously the gentleman who the town knew with the mystifying cloak, and obviously not the guy Matt and Rand saw with a different type of mystifying cloak. It's good on them that they kind of discern that, okay, this is not the very evil entity that we saw in the first chapter. But.
Correct. It could be, this one, the person in black, the man in black portrays very uneasy, unsettling feeling for those boys. When they look at Lan in his cloak, they don't feel that. There's no reason for them to feel threatened or in danger in any way.
Although if I can recall from the book, at this point in time, Matt's idea of what a warder is very, very different than the actuality of what a warder is.
Yeah, he's totally wrong.
Yeah, he's totally wrong. And it's this, lack of a better term, they're in a backwater town. So stories come through, it could change and this and that. They don't know who's good and who's bad. They hear stories of monsters. They'll hear stories of women who can do magic. They could be good now. They're probably bad. No one knows anything, but you act like you know what you're talking about.
Yeah. I mean,
once again,
go ahead.
Go ahead. I'll just say once again, Matt is totally wrong.
Yeah, and those boys, they'll make up their own stories and they'll add additions to it just to keep the thing lively. You got to think, guys, that this town, if you look at the map that Jordan had produced, this town is if I remember right, is so far away from the action, they don't really see anything or hear anything besides what comes through from the Gleeman, the vendors and things like that.
Exactly. That's what we're going to find in the next chapter, We'll see that the greatest commodity is information.
Yep.
So,
go
ahead.
Have we looked at? No, it wouldn't be in this chapter. Never mind. I don't want to get too far.
Okay.
Nope.
I was just going to say that this chapter ends with the mystery of the Gleeman, because Ewing thinks that Matt's just pulling his leg, because that's how Matt is. He just likes to yank everybody's chain. Oh yeah, there's a Gleeman. Oh, you'll have fun with. Are you sure? Are you sure? And then that's. Rand, is he telling me the truth? And that's how the chapter ends. And it's just, it's a very good chapter. It's good. We're introducing slowly more of the main crew to the story. You get an idea of how life is in the Two Rivers in Emmons Field. Three new people in town. Such a scandal.
Yes. Oh man. Well, 2 for sure. 3 unknown. The last one's unknown. And I do like how they don't just choke or shove characters down your throat. It's more of they gradually introduce these at the right time. That's what Jordan has a great feel for, that kind of stuff.
And in this moment, Rand and Matt, they're still boys.
Mm-hmm.
They act like boys. They're pulling pranks where they're putting flour on dogs to scare the little kids. They're awkward and they're clumsy in the presence of a woman. They tease the younger boys. Boys will be boys, and at this moment, 2 chapters in, we're dealing with two teenagers / boys, young men.
How old would you say they are?
I'm sure there's an official age at this time, but I'm gonna put them at around 16.
Okay, I got a more feel of a 14, 15-year-old.
Okay, I'm sure that there's a proper answer in there, but I mean, they've already told, like, Rand has been unofficially betrothed to the mayor's daughter at this point. And that's already been kind of hinted at this point. So that's where I was kind of coming at with 16. That's my take.
I can see that. What about, so we've got them going to potentially see if there's a Gleeman, there's a peddler. I'm going to throw out there, if there's a Gleeman, the Gleeman actually is one of my favorite characters.
Oh yeah?
Yeah, I really enjoy him.
I did last episode say that Matrim Cawthon is probably my favorite character in literature, of modern literature.
Matt is?
Matt, I love and you're 2 books plus into the life and times of Matt Cawthon.
Yeah. So I have my opinion on Matt right now, and same I have a Matt with opinion on Perrin and Rand, but because we're so early in the podcast, I cannot give those opinions quite yet.
No. And then I got to be careful, and I got to relay this to our third post to watch the spoilers. Once, when it's him and me kind of riffing, it's different. But when we get you in the mix, we gotta kind of cut that short.
Should we just spoil Endgame while we're at it?
That was a running joke I used to have when Star Wars Episode 7 came out. I would joke and say, "Wait until the dinosaurs come." That was my big spoiler for Star Wars. But once again, I acted this last time. Go see Endgame if you haven't yet. It's brilliant.
Okay, yeah, I agree. We should probably throw that in there for the next couple weeks. Just like you should probably do it. Just go do it.
They'll probably be still this podcast is going to be on the Aether for years and years, and that show will probably still be making bucks.
Oh my God, yes, I'm so excited. I'm going to see it again. But anyways, we're getting off topic.
So anyway, we actually do have questions from our host / boss, Bill. He couldn't make the podcast recording, but that didn't stop him from sending us questions to discuss.
Of course.
Yeah, I know. You know how that Taskmaster, that guy. And we pretty much did most of the questions here, but I'll still run through them.
Okay.
Ready? All right. Number 1, would you sell the silver coin from Moiraine?
All right. Now, if I did know what it actually symbolized and what it actually did, I would say yes. Okay. At this point in time, if I were those boys, one of them, I would go sell that for something that they wanted: food, candy, items, whatever. I mean, honestly, I'm a kid. I'm not gonna know.
That's
or a teenager.
True. Now the coin she gave them was different than the coin she gave Ewing, right?
Correct.
Ewing just got he got a valued coin too, but it wasn't something special.
Yep.
Now and I don't know if this has been determined or not, but one theory is that the coin itself wasn't what bonded, triggers the bond, but there was a spell that once they took the coin, the bond transferred over, and that the coin became a coin. You know what I mean?
Maybe. If I remember correctly.
Yeah. So I don't know. I mean, how often in that town are you going to meet what appears to be a highborn lady?
No,
never, right?
Never. You're probably not going to see it in your lifetime.
And she gives you a coin, anything. If she gives you anything, the sentimental value to that alone, I don't think I would have sold it. I think I would have kept that.
Okay. I'm just thinking about when I was young. I couldn't hold on to money.
But the fact that, oh my God, I met her and she gave me this, that's I'm maybe being sentimental in my old age, but I probably would have held on to that coin.
You be when you're older as a grandpa. I was like, this lady gave me this coin.
That's it. That's the perfect grandfather story.
Yep.
I remember back in the day we just.
Yeah, I'm going to give you this coin.
Oh my gosh, I know. And that coin would be the story from Bell Times for decades to come.
Yeah. Or like me, I'd have spent it in like 20 minutes.
Your story would have been, and I got a piece of candy with it.
Yep. Totally what I would have done. Now, let me ask you question number 2.
Go ahead.
All right. So what do you think Moiraine did to that bird?
Kind of went over this a little bit. I don't know if she actually did anything, because in the book there was no sign of any kind of, talking or potential magic. She just showed up, made her comment, and the bird flew off. So I'm going to stick with my story that the bird sensed the magic in her and said, "Oop, nope, I'm out. Peace."
Okay. I like that idea behind it. It doesn't go into detail on exactly what happened with that later on in the book, so nobody's going to really pick up on it. But in my opinion, I think she might have connected, on a level of subconscious.
Yep.
And might have did something with magic or a spell or something that drove it off. kind of blinded it and got it out of there. But that's just my thought.
Okay.
But again, I mean,
Okay.
you didn't do anything. You didn't see, you don't read that, you don't get that feeling that something actually
Nope.
important happened.
Yeah, I mean, and this we find out, there doesn't have to be, to quote Harry Potter, silly incantations or wand wavings
Nope.
to perform magic in this world. So I may be wrong. But
Yeah, I know. Who knows? Or the bird could have just been like, I'm done.
Yep, that's about it. All right, let me go with question 3, which in Bill's brilliance really isn't a question, or it is a question, but how cool is Lan's cloak?
I mean, it's nice and all, because it's just basically cloaking. If you think about it, in the way
Yep.
I'm looking at it and seeing it in my mind when I read the book, it's honestly just camouflage.
Exactly. One comment that you'll find when people refer to a warder's cloak is it makes them sick. If you focus on it, you get sick to the stomach because the way it shifts in and out of sight is unsettling, which leads to the allure of being a warder. I mean, how awesome is that?
Yeah.
To kind of echo Bill's exact question, but it's a unique thing. Once again, anything unique in this town is sensationalized and just brought to the forefront.
Agreed. So we've talked about this one too. Is there really a Glee Man?
All signs point to yes.
Yep.
I think we're going to meet the Glee Man very soon. Maybe not next chapter, but definitely soon.
Now, do they talk about what a Glee Man actually is?
At where we are now,
Yeah.
I think someone refers to how can I word this? Like someone says, "Oh, you're about as entertaining as a Glee Man," or something. I'm paraphrasing, but someone throws out a comment like that, so you get the feeling that Glee Men's are entertainers.
Yeah. So we can just describe it right now. So in case we might have missed it or glossed over, but a Glee Man is basically just an entertainer. It's a person that is talent in storytelling, juggling, music playing, knife throwing. There's all sorts of things that are in that person's bag that they can do as entertainment. That's it.
High charisma score.
Yep.
We'll go with that.
Yes.
So number 5, what do you think of matched ghost dogs? I never did get your opinion on the ghost dog Frank. What are your thoughts?
In my mind, it's not as a clever prank. It's just dumping flour. It's wasting flour. But I mean, I get what they're trying to do. The dogs didn't even show up.
The brilliance isn't how stupid it is.
Yeah, basically,
The
they're like, we're going to
brilliance
scare the
is-
crap out of these kids.
Yeah, and the brilliance is Matt couldn't connect the dots that say if you're going to dump flour on these dogs, the dog's going to freak out.
Yep.
And what does a freaked out dog do?
Run
Run home. Exactly. But once again, it's all paints the picture of the brilliance of Matt Cathon. All works out. And he can think of these brilliant ideas and have them fail so epically.
I'm sure Bill probably thought that was like the greatest thing.
I am almost confident that Bill may have tried something similar in his day.
I don't doubt that.
That's the kind of it's the kind of thing that he would do and be so proud of. And I can see him. Oh, this is going to work brilliantly, guys. All right. Oh, I never saw that happening. Oh, well,
And you thought that he would do this as a kid. I actually see this him doing this as an adult. Just it wouldn't be with a dog; it'd be with his kid and
Or
his
his
wife. Baby's gone. I don't know.
Oh God! Oh my God! Yeah, that scary thought, but so dead on with how Bill is.
Dang it, Bill!
That's yes. Oh, Bill, you're here in spirit. We miss you, buddy. Come back soon.
I'll see him tomorrow.
Yeah, you will. I won't.
I spent a lot of time with that guy.
God bless you. So that's about all we have for chapter 2. Want to go into a new segment that we're going to be starting here. I am actually going to take sections of each chapter for each episode and let's say narrate them in my own special way. The segment's called Readings with Rob. And for this chapter, I took the section where with the Raven, where Matt and Rand see the Raven. It's a very important, as we mentioned, it's very important story building to show how there could be not just, the enemy might be right in front of you, or maybe he's a Raven on top of the roof. You don't know at this point. This also gives you an introduction to Ma Rain, so she comes in as well. So without further ado, here is our first go with Readings with Rob.
And now, the Ta'veren present to you Readings with Rob. All was as it should be, except that he was being watched. Then, something led him to turn around, to raise his eyes. On the edge of the inn's tiled roof perched a large raven, swaying a little in the gusting wind from the mountains. Its head was cocked to one side, and one beady black eye was focused. On him, he thought. He swallowed, and suddenly anger flickered in him, hot and sharp. "Filthy carrion eater," he muttered.
"I'm tired of being stared at,"
Matt growled, and Rand realized his friend had stepped up beside him and was frowning at the Raven, too. They exchanged a glance, then as one their hands darted for rocks. The two stones flew true, and the Raven stepped aside. The stones whistled through the space where it had been. Fluffing its wings once, it cocked its head again, fixing them with a dead black eye, unafraid, giving no sign that anything had happened. Rand stared at the bird in consternation. "Did you ever see a raven do that?" he asked quietly. Matt shook his head without looking away from the Raven.
"Never, nor any other bird either."
"A vile bird!" came a woman's voice from behind them, melodious despite echoes of distaste. "To be mistrusted in the best of times." With a shrill cry, the Raven launched itself into the air so violently that two black feathers drifted down from the roof's edge. That was Readings with Rob. If there's a passage in an upcoming chapter you wish to have read on the podcast, simply tweet us at Ta'verenPod with your request.
All right, that was Readings with Rob. If you like what you hear, let us know. If there's any upcoming passages in chapters that you want to hear read, or if you want me to try and read a certain passage to try and trip me up, go for that. Or if you know that a chapter's coming up with certain hard to pronounce words you want me to attempt, go for that too. Hit us up at Twitter to Ta'verenPod. By the way, Rich, I didn't tell you that for our prologue when Bill brought us in, as the master enunciator that he is, he brings us in the epilogue. "Welcome to the," and I was like, "Oh, face
He
palm,
couldn't even
face
pronounce
palm."
Ta'veren?
He couldn't announce the name of his own podcast, and then had to defer. I believe that's the Ta'veren, but we'll go with ta-ta-ba-ba-ba.
Yes.
Anyway,
Dang it, Bill.
so
In one job.
Bill, as Rich knows with their other podcasts, he has a gag, not gag, that he pulls at the opening of their other podcast too. So maybe this is going to be his, in quotes, gag, not gag, when he brings us in. But
He might. I know him.
yeah,
He'll probably do something like that.
knowing him, yes. So that's it for chapter 2. Next time, chapter 3, Peddler. Another person coming to this town. This is like Grand
Who would
Central
that be?
Station now. I don't know.
Holy crap.
Lots of good stuff in this next chapter, guys. And no promises, but we are going to try and bring the whole crew together for the first time for this great chapter.
It's going to be a good one.
It's going to be a good one. Hey, Rich, any final thoughts?
No, I say this is going to be a long, fun podcast that we are trying to do here. Everybody, thank you. What?
I was just going to say, not having to punch out 30, 40-hour role-playing games.
No. I could just bow out of those, but Bill would kill me. But anyways, no, I hope everybody enjoys the podcast that we're doing. As you can tell that, we're getting better with each episode that we're doing regarding this podcast and, the other one that we do. Bill's getting into his own element. Rob's doing fantastic. If you guys want to, leave us comments, definitely leave it into our podcast of what you think. We're also looking at various other options to do Discords and things like that. We haven't got that far yet, as far as I can tell, right?
No, not officially. I know that in the probably spoilers Discord, Bill asked for a Taviren one, but I think it's just me and him in there right now.
Yeah. So we may end up just doing our own, I think. It'd probably be better if we did our own, but I'll let Bill make that decision.
And I'm going to throw this out there. I don't think we've mentioned it before in either the first two pods. Bill and Rich other podcast is called RPG The Golden Years. They are attempting, bwomp, bwomp, bwomp. That's the gag for those who don't know. But Bill and Rich are attempting to play I'm going to say that again, every role-playing game in the golden era of RPGs. Rich, what was that count?
It's like 400 some games.
Not only is it 400 some games, but every other episode, Bill seems to be adding more on.
Yeah, I'm going to choke him. I probably will.
Now, they have some great gaming coming up, but along with every great game, there's a few stinkers in the mix. So it's fun to hear them, review, cheer, groan, whatever, as these games come by. But yeah, if you're a fan of video games, you got to check out RPG The Golden Years. Wherever you find, your podcasting, you'll find them as well.
Yes.
So I believe that's it for this episode.
Yeah.
Rich, it was a good time. I had a great time.
Yeah, definitely. First episode in. Many more to go.
So we're gonna shut her down for now. We're gonna pick up the books. We're gonna check out who this peddler is and what he's all about.
I think something's fishy with this guy.
Oh.
I don't know.
You don't know that.
I get weird feelings.
That yet.
All right, guys. We will see you next time.
Care. We will beat you back at the Wine Spring Inn. Take care, guys.
Have a good night.
Thank you for listening. If you want to continue the conversation, tap into the One Power and contact us on Twitter at TavirenPod. You can also contact Bill at Matunica and Rich at HaleBlue1569. You can also reach Rob at his website, diggingdeepsports.com, And, as always, we will see you at the Wine Spring Inn. Here's to another great podcast, gentlemen. Cheers! Ah, damn it, Bill! Not again! Brad, can you get another round of pints for me and the boys? Yes, again. No, Bill this time. Thank you, Brad. Much appreciated. Now, where were we, men? Actually, I believe it's Rich's turn at the Stones table. What's that you say? No, I don't think old Sen will have that, Rich.
This has been a presentation
of the We Can Make This Work
Probably Network.
Follow us on Twitter
at ProbablyWork for more of our questionable content.
Also, we have a website called probablywork.com.